Yo, what is going on, guys, and welcome back to another Outriders video. Today is a special one because y'all are getting a double whammy, okay? I'm bringing you guys the best Firepower Devastator build and the best AP Devastator build, which is personally my favorite build in the entire game. So let's get started. Before we do though, can we just appreciate this motherfucking drip? Let's start off with Firepower Devastator. For this, you're going to be using Tremor, Golem, and Gravity Leap. For your weapons, you have two options, either the Death Shield, which is the optimal choice, and it's going to be my recommendation, or the Fatal Symbiont. On both of these, you're going to want to mod in Ultimate Damage Link. Now, if you've tried using Ultimate Damage Link before, you might have seen that it doesn't really work. On other classes and other builds, it doesn't really do anything, but on Firepower Devastator, I'm not sure on what makes it work so well. Maybe it's just the fact that it is actual raw firepower, raw damage, raw bullet damage, raw physical bullet damage, but it just absolutely shreds, okay? And if you've used it before, you'll know what I'm talking about. And if you target the ads around the elites, they will just die without you even shooting them. For a secondary weapon, it doesn't really matter, and the same thing goes for your sidearm. Now, as for your skill tree, this is what your skill tree is going to look like if you are using a shotgun, in this case, the Death Shield. If you are going to be using the Fatal Symbiont instead, then there are a couple of changes that you have to make. For example, instead of Shotgun Adept, you would instead use Armor Breaker, and instead of Shotgun Master, you would use Assault Master. I also recommend you pick up these Perpetual Motion nodes, so that way your kinetic skills have a lower cooldown. In this case, it's going to be Gravity Leap, and what that's going to allow you to do is use Gravity Leap to get this 70% weapon damage buff for 10 seconds, which is absolutely massive. So this is going to give you a huge burst of damage whenever you Gravity Leap onto something. Another important note is to pick up Heirloom Armor. This combined with Golem should give you all the survivability you could ever ask for. I'm not going to recommend that you pick up Champion because the idea with this build is to keep Golem up 100% of the time, so you're not really going to get any options or any opportunities to use this properly. But that's about it. If you're using a Death Shield, just use this, and if you are using a Fatal Symbiont, then swap this for this and this for this, and that's really all you need. Now for your armor, we're going to be using 3 pieces of the statue set, and this will double our firepower and weapon life leech whenever we use Golem or Tremor. In this case, we wanted the helmet, the chest, and the boots from the statue set, and the stats on these are pretty horrid, but they're the least ass out of all the other options. For your other gear, you're going to want pieces that have bonus firepower, close range damage, and cooldown reduction. You can also have status power instead of cooldown reduction, but I would really recommend cooldown reduction because it's going to help you keep up the damage buffs from your skill tree. The perks you're going to want to keep on the armor pieces are Perseverance, Power of the Stones, and Bleeding Impulse. In the rest of our slots, we're going to mod in Golem of Death so we can keep our Golem up pretty much all of the time. And we also want Captain Hunter, Tainted Blood, Bloodlust, Stare into the Barrel, and Sharp Eye for damage, and Vampiric Mag to cut down on our reloads. And there you go. That's Firepower Devastator. Basically just leap into action and unload on their faces and they will die, and that's basically how it works. This build mainly shines in solo. I feel like in co-op you get KS'd pretty much the entire run, so you just burn through all of your ammo, and honestly it's a very weird feeling after playing so much Trickster and playing Technomancer right afterwards, where it feels like reloading is a sin, to run a firepower build and then not really suffer any consequences when reloading. So that's just a personal thing. I just got way too used to never wanting to reload. It isn't the end of the world. You literally just reload and keep shooting. So it's a really good build. Go ahead and try it out. Now for our AP build, the skills you're going to want to be using here are Earthquake, which is going to be most of our damage, Golem for survivability, and Gravity Leap.
Do not ask me about Impale, okay? Impale is trash.
For the weapons, we're going to be using a triple Moaning Wind setup, so you're going to want either 2 Death Shields or 2 Animoys or Animois, whatever. And for your pistol, any will do as long as it has clip combustion, and then you just mod in Moaning Winds. For our armor, we're going to be using 3 pieces of the Seismic Commander set, and in this case, we're going to be using the helmet, the chest, and the legs. For your other pieces, make sure that they rolled with Anomaly Power, Cooldown Reduction, and Status Power. Skill Life Leech is also okay instead of Status Power, but not really needed. We're going to have more than enough Skill Life Leech and Survivability already. The mods you'll want to keep from the gear are Bloodshot, Earth's Legacy, and Tainted Blood, and in the rest of the slots you're going to want Captain Hunter, Unstoppable Force, Bloody Boost, Ground Crush, Extra Quake, Second Quake, and Untamed Power. Speaking of Untamed Power and Unstoppable Force, your melee actually counts as an ability, for those of you who didn't know, so using a melee will actually proc Untamed Power and do damage all around you. Obviously your melee has a very short cooldown, so you are going to want to be able to spam this, because not only is it going to apply bleed, it's also going to give you a huge damage AoE around you. This damage, as well as Moaning Winds, by the way, in case you didn't know, scales off of your AP, so the more AP you have, the more damage Untamed Power will do, and the more damage Moaning Winds will do. And that is where Unstoppable Force comes in. I think this is a really good segue to talk about the skill tree, so let's just go ahead and do that now. This is pretty much what your skill tree is going to look like no matter what AP build you decide to go with. This is pretty much what you want. Everything is kind of mandatory. First, you're going to want to pick up both seismic cooldown nodes over here. You're also going to want to pick up Paladin. This is going to give you a huge burst of AP whenever we proc Golem. This is also going to help you proc Golem a little bit more often, and we also need it to get Strong Arm of the Anomaly. What Strong Arm of the Anomaly does is give you 15% resistance piercing for every enemy that you hit with your melee, and this buff lasts for 10 seconds, so it's more than enough time for you to get out your entire rotation, as well as all 3 Moaning Winds. Now, the reason why this is so important is because of the synergy that it has with Unstoppable Force. What Unstoppable Force does is basically convert 50% of your resistance piercing into AP. So you already have 30% resistance piercing from both of these nodes in your skill tree. So let's just say you hit 2 enemies and you get 30% more resistance piercing. So 30% from this plus the 30% you already have, that's 60% resistance piercing. Not only are you going to do a lot more damage now because you have so much resistance piercing, you're also going to get 30% more AP because of Unstoppable Force, which is really strong. So that's just 2 enemies, literally just 2 enemies. So meleeing them, you're applying bleed, and you're also giving yourself resistance piercing and AP. It's just a really strong combination. So I highly recommend that you guys use this. It's basically mandatory anyway. You're also going to want to pick up both of these Red River nodes. What they do is increase the duration of your bleed. Bleed by default lasts 5 seconds, so each one of these is going to give you 30% bleed duration, so it's going to be about 60%. So it's going to make your bleed last 8 seconds, which is going to allow you to basically just earthquake once into a giant wave of ads and kind of just walk away and let them die pretty much. You're also going to want to pick up Protected by the Anomaly. This is going to give you armor based on your AP. We're going to have a lot of AP, so you're going to have a lot of armor. So all of this armor combined with the skill Life Leech that we have from this node and also just our armor, it's going to allow you to stay pretty healthy pretty much all of the time. Even when all of your abilities are on cooldown, even your Moaning Winds, you can just melee something, it's going to apply a bleed and heal you as well. And then finally, we want Earth's Heritage so we can increase the damage of our earthquakes. So there you go, that's the best AP build for Devastator, but there is another variation of this build, one I've used on stream, one that I basically grinded out until I got this perfect set, and it is more co-op friendly and honestly my favorite build in all of Outriders, any class. This is my favorite build. For this, we're going to use the exact same armor set, even the purples, depending on how your mods are distributed, of course. And we're just going to slot in some Gravity Leap mods, specifically Double Jump and Despair. This will let you slam down twice, and each slam is going to make the enemies that you hit with the slam take 150% more damage, which is amazing for bursting down bosses, and it serves as a great debuff in co-op. Like, you double slam into a boss, you melee them to make them bleed, that boss is taking 3 times more damage from the Despair debuff. You have the AP buff from Paladin and Unstoppable Force, they're bleeding so they take more damage from Bloody Boost and Tainted Blood, and then you cast 3 Earthquakes on them and hit them with Moaning Winds, they're going to be absolutely shredded. They're going to be absolutely discombobulated. I also just love jumping all over the fucking place and just getting in the enemy's grill, and having charges of Gravity Leap also gives you a lot of survivability. The slams stagger people, so enemies will get CC'd, and it instantly gives you like a little bit of breathing room when you are leapt out of danger and go into the sky. It's really fun to cycle through your abilities like this and just kind of spam both of them. It's just really fun because the other ability spam builds in the game, like for example Pyromancer or AP Trickster, you do kind of use your abilities. For example, with Pyromancer, you use them and enemies die very quickly, and that's cool to see, but they kind of just die. You don't really do anything. You just cast your abilities and they die. But with Devastator, you have to be in close range, you have to be in their grill, smash, 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 and it's just satisfying to see, okay? And Trickster, you press your abilities and then you kind of just stand there, so it's pretty boring. So anyway, those are my builds, guys. That's the best firepower build and the best AP build for Devastator, and my personal build, and my personal favorite build in the game. I hope you guys enjoyed them or found them useful, and if you did, then please consider dropping me a like. It really helps me out. Thank you to all my patrons. You guys are absolutely amazing. Mwah. Kiss for you. On the lips, of course. And this concludes my saga of Outriders builds for now. Honestly, I hope we get new content in the future, because I was hardcore addicted to this game, as you can see, and I would love to revisit it in the future when the game isn't so horribly dead that nobody watches my builds, and instead, you know, can enjoy them with other people. But anyway, if you guys are playing Outriders still and you need people to play with, then come by and join my Discord. Link is in the description as always. And that's it for me, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care and be safe.